Welcome to Owlsports Update. I'm Jillian Marshall alongside Joe Polinsky. Field hockey clinches the last spot in the A10 tournament, and the men's soccer team did something that they haven't done all season long.
Plus, October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Find out how Temple lends a helping hand. But first, let's talk football and the streak that just keeps rolling along. With their 9-game winning streak last season, there was an offensive explosion that we hadn't seen in 3 decades. This season, they are doing it again, but on the opposite side of the ball, as the Owl defense has put up numbers we haven't seen in 40 years. The Owls were looking for their first 4-game winning streak of the season as we pick it up early with Mike Girardi dropping back, sending a huge floater down the sideline that is caught by Michael I Want Some Soup Campbell, leading to an eventual 27-yard field goal by Brandon McManus, putting the home team up by 3. Second quarter now, Girardi drops back in. Jill, who do you think they're going to? Don't have to answer as Campbell, chunky, catches a 45-yard pass leading to yet another field goal by McManus, giving the Cherry and White a 6-0 advantage. Later, part of the first half, the Owls are getting a good tip from Coach Fran Dunphy, putting their hands up and do sort of like a Lavoy Allen block on a Delano Green layup, denying the Zips a field goal. The Owls will go into the half up 6-0. Jillian.
Into the third quarter now, and here's Girardi. He's going to fake a handoff and throws a screen to redshirt freshman Alex Jackson, who runs it down for a touchdown, only for the day, bringing the Owls' lead to 13-0. Akron hoping for the best and trying to stay alive. The quarterback looks for a pass, throws it, and it's intercepted by junior Kevin Krobeth for the only pickoff of the game. That sets up another McManus field goal and gives it back to Girardi, who sets up a handoff to Rod Streeter, who runs it in 24 yards, diving for the touchdown. He picked up 3 carries, 5 catches, and 91 yards on the day. And as if a 23-point lead wasn't enough, Bernard Pierce leaps over Akron and into the end zone to finish out the fourth quarter. Owls win it 30-0, making that back-to-back shutouts at home, not to mention tying Temple's record of 10 straight home conference victories.
A really good or championship team or that kind of quality team, if you can't defend the home. And our guys, they like playing here.
It's fun to have a home winning streak. It's fun to win 10 in a row. It's fun to have 2 shutouts in a row. Those are things that no one can take away from those guys. When you go to work year-round with guys and you do all that stuff and you work your tail off all week, you have the result that you have. That's something that those guys can never get taken away from them in the locker room, the feeling of being able to do that.
In the last 2 games alone, Temple has outscored its opponents 72-0. The last time this happened was almost 40 years ago, in 1971 to be exact. The Owls' offense was very explosive in the last 2 games. They have doubled the amount of yards that they have given up, and Bernie and the Bug have outrushed our opponent's running backs by almost 400 yards. The Owls take on Mac East opponent, the Golden Flashes, this Saturday when they travel to Kent State. October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and last Saturday, Temple athletes, alumni, and students all stood up to raise awareness and to raise some money. Updates Josh Rotenberg has more on how Temple lent a helping hand.
If you've ever been to a Temple football game, you notice that fans dress in the school's cherry and white colors. However, when the Owls took on the Akron Zips, fans wore a different color, pink. They wore it to promote breast cancer awareness.
I'm totally a community service person, so whenever my local school does something like that, it makes me feel like the whole world has a chance.
Oh, I think it's great. It's for a good cause. And it's really great that everyone's coming out to the games now.
It's really important to raise awareness for breast cancer because it affects a lot of people, and it's important to get that out.
The first 5,000 fans who showed up to the game received free pink pom-poms. This helped fans cheer on the Owls and breast cancer awareness at the same time.
There's so many people that have been affected. That is a disease we really have to keep on top of.
Well, we need to support a cause like this, and I think that we make a great impact in the area.
Of course, the Cherry Crusade changed their identity as well on this special day.
Well, I had to paint at my dorm, so I picked it up yesterday morning, came back, and probably took me about a half hour to get this all set.
The Owls capped off the event with their 2nd consecutive shutout, something they haven't done since 1971. As you can see, Pink Out was a huge success for Temple. The university tackled 2 birds with 1 stone today by helping to make people more aware of the severity of breast cancer and by beating the Zips 30-0. Reporting for Owlsports, I'm Josh Rotenberg.
Also at the game, hundreds of young Temple fans took the field with their parents. It was the second annual Parent-Child Touchdown Toss Day, and it wasn't an easy job, by the way, in 30-mile-per-hour winds.
With the football team coming a long way over the last couple of years, much can be said about the Owl fan base, which can easily be seen in the parking lot hours before the game. But it wasn't always this way. Updates Jeff McDevitt has more on two men very much responsible for the best college tailgate in town.
Tailgating prior to a football game is an integral part of getting the full experience. Of course, the experience is much better when your team is winning. Prior to the recent success of the Owl Golden era, Lot K at Lincoln Financial Field looked much like this. But now that the Owls are atop the Mid-American Conference and riding a 10-game home winning streak, tailgating is much more popular at Temple football games. Two members of the class of 1997 have had an ongoing tailgate that they call the two-man tailgate.
Jump the Broad Street subway with 30-pack of beer and come down to the games. I think we were one of about 2,000 people in the vet where we played at the time. And that officially began the two-man tailgate, myself and Ben Yeager.
At that point we were playing in the vet, and we would actually make grills out of cinder blocks in the old JFK Stadium parking lot. At that point, no stadium, just giant dirt lot.
Jack and Ben believe that alumni-student relationships are important in building a successful fan base, and they try to include Temple students in the fun at their tailgate.
Go out! You know, that's what I think the two-man began as, is our tradition and our building tradition here at Temple, and that's what we've tried to do, and now the two-man has grown to 10, 15, 20, 30 people, depending on what game it is. And you know, I think that's something that Temple needs to continue to grow, and it needs to be part of us winning. As the program grows, as we continue to grow and win, you got to have tailgating. That's what college football is all about.
So as you can see, the two-man tailgate exemplifies tradition you'd normally see in a larger, more prominent football program. Sometimes burgers and drinks could be equally as important as touchdowns and sacks. For Owlsports Update, I'm Jeff McDevitt.
The women's field hockey team returned home with a simple equation: a win at home against Lock Haven, and it's into the A-10 postseason. A loss on Senior Day means that it's time to say goodbye to the 2010 season. Out we go to Giese Field, where the Owls honored their four, count 'em, graduating seniors. We picked this one up in the first half with a nice deflection off the stick of Corinne Lambright, allowing the ball to find the net. The Owls would go up 1-0. The Cherry and White were like Burger King. They were having it their way in this one, as Carissa Young scores off the corner pass here from Kylie Keener, making the score 2-0. But then Lock Haven start to show a little life as the ball gets past the Owl defense, much to the dismay of the Temple fans present. But Katie Briglia soon says, "I'm taking matters into my own hands now," scoring the final goal of the contest, which proved to be enough for a 3-2 Owl victory and a berth in the A-10 tournament. And as for the tournament, it kicks off this weekend right here on North Broad Street, as the 4th-ranked Owls will take on top-ranked UMass Friday at 2. This will be the Owls' 8th straight tournament appearance, and if all goes well, the finals are set for November the 6th.
Over the weekend, the Temple men's and women's soccer teams saw a lot of goals. Some for us, but the majority against us. Men's soccer took on 16th-ranked Charlotte at home over the weekend, and it was like deja vu from last year. The Owls took on the 49ers on Halloween after going into double overtime. Junior Tyler Whitmer saved the day, scoring the winning goal in the 108th minute, making the final score 2-1. Not only did they beat nationally ranked Charlotte, but the Owls did the same thing against the 49ers last season in a 2-1 win. The women weren't so lucky. Actually, they weren't lucky at all. Sunday women's soccer celebrated the Senior Day in a game against Charlotte, but that was just about the only good news of the day. And while these goals pretty much sum up the whole game, the Owls fall to Charlotte 7-0. Their season is over at 6-12-1.
At Temple University, student athletes get special treatment as strength and conditioning coaches work to keep athletes running at their full potential. Updates Anya Cleveland has more.
Before Temple athletes take to their respective playing fields to compete, it starts here, the weight room and physical training facility. There are 24 varsity sports at Temple and only 5 strength and conditioning coaches, so it doesn't take a math major to figure out that there are long days for those in charge of keeping these athletes healthy.
Our day starts at about 5 o'clock in the morning, where we come in and we prepare for the day that we have ahead of us, and it usually ends at around 7 o'clock at night.
While athletic trainers are not in the spotlight when it comes to fan recognition, their work is clearly noticed by the ones they are in charge of helping.
Mark has been doing great things, with our program. He's very open-minded.
You try and meet with the coaches to determine what their goals are for that particular season.
It's the behind-the-scenes work that takes place in this room before game time, the relationships that develop between athletes and trainers, the skills that are enhanced because of the coaching and conditioning that makes everything worthwhile.
To develop a relationship with an athlete, to see that athlete actually get excited about strength and conditioning and want to get better, and then to go out and watch them perform and see the improvements that they've made athletically and how those translate to on the field or on the court.
It's a long season, so the more you work out in the gym, the stronger you'll get and the better you'll be during the season.
Some days for the trainers seem endless. With many things to accomplish, completing them all is hard. As the days pass by, something more keeps them coming back.
You get up and you come in and it's dark, and you go home and you leave and it's dark, and you do that 5 days a week, and you work because you love the athletes.
For Owlsports Update, I'm Anya Cleveland.
There haven't been many good things to say about the women's volleyball team this season. The team is riding a 7-game losing streak, but tried to have a little treat of its own against A10 foe Charlotte on Halloween night. The 49ers came into Philly at 13-12, but ran into a great block here by Gabby Matuia. And as good as that was, Temple fans, that was not enough to stop the Owls from dropping the first 2 sets. Ashley Carr had 8 kills on the afternoon for the Cherry and White, but Charlotte proved to be a little too much as they sweep the Owls 3-0.
Field hockey senior Sarah Dalrymple is one of the 38 athletes that have been invited to play in the National Field Hockey Coaches Association Division I senior game. Dalrymple is the 5th senior in 4 years to be picked from the Owls field hockey team.
And senior Mike May became the first male cross-country all-conference honoree in Temple history last year, but this year he can add another accomplishment to his list, being the Owlsports.com Athlete of the Week. The Dixon City, PA native placed 9th in the Atlantic 10 Championships, running at a time of 24:54 in the 8K course.
And surprise, surprise, Matt Brown is Temple's Owlsports.com Athlete of the Month. The Bug is the Owls' leading rusher and stood out in October, starting 4 of the 5 games, where he rushed 84 times for 524 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Well, that's all for this edition of Owlsports Update, but remember, you can follow the Cherry and White anytime by logging on to owlsports.com.
For Joe Polinsky and the rest of the Owlsports team, I'm Jillian Marshall. Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time.